Hello, lovely people. I hope that you're having a fantastic day wherever you are. It's Ila here, Saturday Night Stitch. And thank you so much for tuning in to another browse through of the Burda 11 2022 issue. We are already with the November. We're down to just one more issue for December. Wow. With regards to my garden, we've been very lucky here in the north of England that our autumn has been unusually mild. So I still have quite a smattering of flowers still around. So there's still the Rudbeckia, tons of nasturtium about, and the verbena is still flowering. And I've also got tons of this fuchsia over here, and some mauve's ball. Erysimum is still going strong. So wherever you are in the world, I'm sending you this lovely bouquet of autumn flowers from the north of Leeds. Right, we came here for the browse through, and we're going to do the browse through. We've got the line drawings here ready to go. I've had this issue for 2 weeks, but this is literally the first moment that I've had, the first opportunity that I've had to actually record the browse through. So I felt like this was a very strong dresses issue. There were hardly any skirts in this, actually. The only skirts were in the Burda Plus section. But let's go. So first off is this wrap over style blousey jumper that I don't think you'd be ever be able to wear this independently. It's the sort of thing that you have to layer over other things, which I suppose for autumn might be useful, but for me personally, it's not a thing that I do go for. And then what we do have here is a very interesting overlong blazer with some very clean details. As you can see, the lapel is being given a little bit of an update, just a little bit of an update with how it meets over here. And this is a bit more exaggerated because normally the upper lapel is the one that's exaggerated, isn't it? But on this one, it's the lower one. So it's just giving it a little bit of something. And it's quite a boxy, almost like a boyfriend style blazer. They've sewn it in a pinstripe, which I thought was a very interesting choice of using a traditional pinstripe fabric on something that they've just sort of given a slight little twist. I can see this one being quite popular because blazers, oversized blazers that you can easily wear over any sort of garment, seem to be quite popular as far as jackets go. And then we move on to their own trend piece, which is a chiffon blouse with a raglan sleeve, sheared elastic around the neckline, and some buttons down there. They've given it a 2-star. I would contend that working with chiffon in itself makes it a 3-star automatically, because trying to cut out correctly, trying to sew it well, never mind trying to put down buttonholes and choosing the interfacing for chiffon it's quite challenging in itself. And then doing shearing on it, I have to say, pretty cool. However, nice design detail that they've just used an elastic cuff on the cuff, which does make things just a little bit easier. And to counter that, it is the sewing lesson. Personally, I'm not a big fan of chiffon in winter for obvious reasons, but I can see how some people who've got better circulation than me could make it work. And then we've got this boxy cardigan, jumper, jacket, over top thingy that you wear. This reminds me of a lot of the stuff that I see in places like H&M or Zara, these high street brands that are going for this really big boxy look. And I honestly feel like we've seen something very similar in the last few months. Moving right along, we've got an A-line style dress, which to me reminds me of the 60s style dresses, but they've just been blown up, so they're not quite as form-fitting. What makes this one different is that it's got this sort of horizontal pleat around the waist here. Not too sure personally what that adds, because looking at it visually, I'm not seeing the justification for having something like that. Okay, and then again with the big blousoni type jacket, so very 80s style, with this oversized jacket. And this one is a cropped one with double-breasted buttons, and we've got the welt pockets here. Cool fabric that they've used. It's like a patchworky type of fabric. And then we have this dress here with the knotted top. I've seen this before, and I think I've seen it. There was one in March 2018, I think, and it just had this similar thing here, except for it didn't have it had an empire waist, and then it had an A-line skirt bottom. and it was very 1960s, whereas this one is a bit more smart because it's been made into a sheath dress. And when you've got a neckline like this, you have no need for a necklace, I must say. But as I was going through this issue struck me as so far not being the strongest entry for me. It's got a lot of separates, and I can see that being popular. But none of them, except for one thing, which is going to come up, really jumped up at me. This one just reminded me of the 1980s style somewhat, particularly the way you've got this yoked, thick waistband. And it's got these really fiddly little buttons to make interesting cowling detail. I have to wait and see what people within the Burda sewing community make of that one. And then we have our Burda top, which is just a simple top without any fitting except maybe for some minimal bust darts. And it's got a wide neckline, so there's no zipper, no button closure, but this one's just got a tie closure over here. And you can just see it's very easy, simple to make with a facing on the neckline. Here's your tutorial over here. Okay, and then continuing with the trend from last time, we had the parachute dress. Now we have the parachute coat. So really a poncho, you know those rain ponchos that you buy for when you go festivals, or you forgot your jacket when you were camping and so you just buy the poncho. This just basically reminds me of that, and it's got some welt pockets and a hoodie. Yes, you got a lot of flapping around, and I can't help but think about how impractical that is on a very windy day like this. Like right now we're experiencing, like it's really super windy, and that's just going to catch the wind like mad. Okay, simple open top, open blouse with a v-neck top over here, and these zips on here. Can you imagine how annoying that is when you want to roll up your sleeves to get into it, and you first of all have to you'll probably have to do this so that you can unzip, then you have to roll it up. It's very impractical. Otherwise, could have been a relatively useful one. And this is the tall pattern. The jackets, I like the clean look with this jacket. So it is long line, and they've used snappers here. So they've used the silver ones, but I believe you can get the transparent plastic ones if you wanted to even make these less of a statement. But beautiful pastel blue colors that they have used. And I do like the accents of orange that they used. They never ever occurred to me to combine pastel blue with an orange and still create a lovely effect. So that was good. And then we've got that dress again, which has got the interesting pleating detail at the waist. And it was only with this particular dress pattern that I realized that it's got a similar echo of this pleating on the sleeve here. Not too keen. And then we have this autumn winter dress, which is a variation on a style that we see regularly in the autumn winter ones. In fact, one of my favorite roll neck patterns from Burda 9 2010 has got a similar sort of funnel grown on neckline that just goes up like that, and it's really cute. It works really well, and I quite like this. Not a big fan of the fabric that they use. I feel like it works a lot better when you use a more substantial fabric than that. And then we have that blazer again, but this time it's been made in like a midnight blue sateen fabric, and it does look gorgeous. I like the use of the blue on blue. Really, really fantastic. I think this was my favorite shoot, fashion style shoot of them all. And then we've got that dress again, and it's in blue. It looks lovely. I would have never thought to put pastel blues like this in autumn winter, but I think that they did a relatively decent job, particularly pairing with the orange before, and then this time pairing it with the camel and the tan. So I feel like I learned something new in this issue. And then we've got that giant parachute jacket, made in a really large, super eye-catching print. And so there was that top that we saw before that had the yoked waist that reminded me very much of the 1980s. So instead of having the yoked waist over here, we've just lengthened it and given it to make it into a dress. And as I said, this issue, it wasn't very big on stunners for me personally. That might very well be because I don't have a lot of time to sew recently because of all of the home renovations, which are almost done now. And then we've got again that big baggy style jacket, which is cropped, but this time it looks even baggier because they've used like this quilted puffy fabric. And honestly, it's like you want to wear a duvet, but instead of having the duvet go all the way down your legs and keeping you nice and warm, you're kind of like, let's cut it off at the waist, and then that will be fine. So I think that's my biggest beefs with this style, because if you're going to wear something like that thick and chunky, it's because you want to get really nice and warm. So you might as well make you warm properly. Okay, and then we've got this top, which has got the raglan sleeve and it's quite blousy. I've seen this top in, I think, Burda 9 2020. So there were quite a lot of repeats, I thought, in this particular issue. So again, this top, which they've said is the easy model, but I completely disagree. This is not an easy one to do because you've got a zipper at the back, and that's a jersey fabric. And jersey fabric and zippers automatically removes it from the easy category as far as I'm concerned. Over on this side, we have a 70s style dress, which has got a V neckline and an empire waist with some interesting banding detail here. I've made something very similar from a 2018 issue, and it was in a jersey. Very similar style, and except for it didn't have the banding on the back there. I'm all for everything except for these cuffs over there, because I don't know, I kind of find that cuffs can be quite unnecessary unless you have a shirt and a collar. I feel like that's the only time that they work. Okay, and then we've got a nod to the 1980s style, the dolman sleeve type top, so Batman wing. But this one's got a lot of pieces to it, and you could have a lot of fun with color blocking on this one, or texture blocking. And I quite like the little thing that they've done of adding some embroidery detail just to give it a little bit of a je ne sais quoi or something like that. I just don't know what word I say there. And then we're back to those boxy jackets again. Something similar was in, I think it was January 2019 or January 2020. And this is the petite size. Now, this is the trousers that I actually liked. Trouser number 101. I really do like this, mostly because if you're a kibi enthusiast like me, you'll recognize that this sort of fits in a little bit into soft gamine because it's tapered at the ankle and it goes in at the waist over there. And I think that make this in a indigo denim, it would work. In black linen, it would also work. Tan twill gabardine fabric, and it would work. It's quite versatile. I think that this is a useful one. So this is the one that I actually marked as something that I do want to make. It caught my eye in the first look, and when I was browsing, I actually liked it. I think that these are some neat details that would give it something a little bit different. But equally, if you didn't want it to be fussy and not have the yoke detail here with the top stitching, you can just remove that and just cut out this pattern piece without these two extra ones, which, to be honest, I probably would do that. But yeah, I quite liked this, and I felt like I haven't seen anything like this recently in a Burda issue, because it was like, no, definitely going to be making that one. So I thought that was quite good. And then we moved on to their vintage dress, which is a cocktail dress with several dots to give it shaping, and it's got a lovely boat neckline over here, and then it's got the very genteel draped cape at the back. So New Year's Eve dress definitely could work. And there it is in lovely red, or also like for Christmas parties, office Christmas parties or something like that. So, and then there's some toy making tutorials. And I quite like this section here where they show you some styling ideas. And how gorgeous is this purple coat? I thought that was pretty fabulous. And then we get to see some Burda makes out in the wild. I've made this dress before from April 2019, and I made it for Easter. I absolutely love it. And I do remember I traced out this pattern of this sweater, which I think was from Burda 1 2020. So yeah, it's always great to see other Burda creations out in the wild and how people are wearing them. Now moving on to our Burda Plus section, where we have a dog. The dogs are coming back, I'm telling you. Got a lovely shirt dress with some a lot of tailoring detail. So we've got the pockets with the flaps over it. And though they've used like a printed viscose fabric, you could make this in a linen and it would create a safari look style shirt, I think. So I think shirt dress, I think it'll be lovely. We have some straight leg trousers over here with a hip yoke pocket. And there's sort of that sailor style, or the faux sailor style, where you've got the buttons down the center. And for the boys, from 104 to 128, which unfortunately none of my boys are within this age range now, or this height range, there is this really lovely bomber jacket here, which I think would be a fun project for those so inclined. And then we've got a shearling, I hope I pronounced that correctly, shearling coat here. And I think that the sewing instructions are specifically for this type of fabric. So if you wanted to make it in a wool, you'd have to make adjustments for it, something like that. And over here, we have the top with the grown-on funnel neckline over here, some ruching, and a bust dot. So it's been given a lot of shaping to it. And given that it's also made in a jersey, I'm going to say, I don't think that this would be an easy one to make. Sewing darts in jersey is not fun. Ruching jersey is not fun. I think I've ruched a couple of times and it is not a lot of fun to do. So I don't think it would be an easy pattern. And then we've got a simple tunic top with the square neckline and drawstring over here. I think they could have gone with a better fabric choice, personally. Yeah, but it does have potential. Lengthen it, make it into a dress. Yeah, and we've got, for the boys here, a very simple top and some trousers. This is so cute. They look really, really quite cute. And we've got that shirt dress right at the beginning that we had with all of those really lovely tailoring details on the pockets. But this time it's been made into a shirt, and we've added more detail with some D-rings and some grosgrain ribbons here, giving it a more military-esque look. I think that's quite nice. I can see this one being a popular one. Yeah, and then we've got a skirt. The only other skirt in this issue is this denim skirt, but it's long and it's got a pegged silhouette. It sort of goes in, and it's got these gigantic pockets over here, which are lovely, because pockets are, of course, everything. So that's the issue as we have it. Quite a short browse through this month, because most of it didn't speak out to me as much as, say, other issues have. And I still have a couple of things lined up from the previous issue. That was a bit of a slow burn for me. And I want to make those things. And hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to get into it. But so far for this one, it's definitely trousers number 101 gets my vote. Now it's your turn. Let me know what you're going to be making from this. Was this your favorite issue, or have I missed something in here in not getting my eye caught by anything in particular except for those trousers? Until I see you next time, lovely people, happy sewing. Bye.